Hello students, welcome to your science class. We are learning chapter 14, water of your NCERT science textbook. Water is one important essential element on earth. Like without food and air, how you cannot imagine existence of life, life without water is also impossible. Do you know some fun facts about water? There is the same amount of water on earth as there was when the earth was formed. And also nearly 97% of the world's water is salty, or otherwise we can say it is undrinkable. There are many more amazing facts which we will learn in our coming classes. Let us once recall what we have learned in this chapter till now. We have seen introduction to water. We estimated how much water we use in a day, in a year, or the amount of water used by a particular area. We also have understood from where do we get water for utilizing for various purposes. Like in the beginning of the chapter, we learned a fact that there is the same amount of water on earth as there was when the earth was formed. That is because of a continuous process called water cycle. Let us understand water cycle. What is water cycle? The definition of water cycle is a water cycle, which is also known as hydrologic cycle, describes the continuous movement of water on, above and below the surface of the earth. Before we understand the steps involved in a water cycle, we have to understand some basic concepts. First, let us understand how the water usually disappears by itself. Many of us might have wondered how a lake or pond near your house, which is full and overflowed in rainy seasons, usually get emptied and dried during the hot summers. Many such examples where we find the water disappearing by itself are many of us once or twice, knowingly or unknowingly, might have spilled water on the floor. But sometimes if we observe, even though not mopping the floor, you find the spilled water getting disappeared after some time. Similarly, what is the concept of water disappearing from wet cloths when you clip or hang them in an open area for drying? Like we discussed, where does all these rainwater immediately disappear after rains? In Mumbai, we see or hear of roads being overflowed due to heavy rains. But soon after the rain stops, where does all this water go? Have you ever gave a thought that where did this water go, or where does it go every time after drying a substance? I think you all remember the concepts of chapter 5, separation of substances, where you have understood an activity when upon heating water changes it into its vapor state, gets evaporated and the salt is left behind. Water which turns into vapor cannot be seen with naked eye on dissolving with air. But for water to get converted into vapor, it needed to be heated. Unless and until water gets heated up or rises its temperature, it will not change into vapor state. Not only the water is evaporated from water bodies, but also we experience water changing its form into vapor from areas like fields, roads, rooftops, and other land areas also. You also know to obtain salt, water from the sea is left in shallow pits to let the water evaporate and leave the salt behind, which is later used for commercial and other purposes. We just learned that for water to get converted into vapor, it needs to be heated. But from where does the water gets its heat? It is from the sunlight in most cases. Let us understand this concept by observing an activity, for which you require two similar plates like of same size and shape, and one of those should be placed in shade and the other should be placed in sunlight like you see in the image. Pour equal amount of water in both the plates. Do not take too much amount of water. Use a cap of a bottle to measure the water. Let them settle in places and observe after every 15 minutes. What do you observe? Which plate has its water disappeared faster? As we have observed this activity in daytime with good sunlight, you can understand that the sunlight falls on these water or water bodies like rivers, ponds, lakes, etc. And the heat from sunlight changes the water in these places into vapor state. Upon observation, you notice that water disappeared from the plate that is kept in shade also. But it might have taken a little longer or more time. So, not only the sunlight evaporates water by heating directly, but it also heats up the atmosphere. That means the air surrounding us also gets heated up. So this warm air provides heat for evaporation of water present in shade. And by that process, the water placed in shade also gets heated up and gets evaporated. So out of all these examples and explanations, what did you understand? We understand that water gets evaporated upon heating. Evaporation of water is a continuous process that takes place at all open surfaces of water. And due to this, water vapor continuously combines with the air around us. More the heat, more is the evaporation. Evaporation takes place faster in sunlight and even much faster on heating water on a burner. So, in water cycle, we understood that the concept of evaporation. In the next class, let us understand the other stages of water cycle. Thank you.